Do I need to do this?
I saw that, yeah.
Really? I asked her, we have to be concerned.
It's your kid's birthday.
Yeah.
Birthday.
Oh, I messed
Oh,
up.
no.
Oh, looks like it's
Press
working.
the reset button, so.
Okay.
It's good to.
So for about 10 minutes yesterday, those 12 girls were just roasting me. Really? About you farted and what I fart. They're gonna think she's playing cupcakes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm in the living room watching TV, minding my own business. And they're just working over. I walked through to get a cupcake, and one of them accused me of farting, which I didn't do, which is fine. They all got a kick out of it. I went and sat back down. That's all it was. Oh, Ray, I had no part in that. Oh, shoot. Fart unicorns, fart rainbows, fart glitter. Oh. All I know is when I dropped Ray off, and I could just hear them all amping up on the inside, I'm like, they were in the basement. That
Yeah.
was coming from the basement.
Yeah, it was coming from the basement, and it was like, I'm like, yeah, lots of 6-year-olds there. Did you, ear protection and all?
I should have.
Those, the decibels, you might have lost some hearing.
It's a fun story.
Aren't they all?
Aren't they all?
Nate, have you seen 5th Street, the highway with the hole?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I drive it, and I was like, I don't know if anybody's, I'm like, I drive that all the time, so I'm sitting there, I'm like,
Took 5 days for that to happen.
yeah, well, I was taking my motorcycle on when I first saw it. And I'm sitting there all of a sudden, I'm like, and I was like,
Is this rubble?
I was like, what the heck happened? I thought something happened to my bike for a second, because it's a brand new road.
Yeah.
So then I go back and look, and I'm like, what? I
I
don't
was
even.
told, I think Thursday, that it's happening to the westbound lanes too.
Ugh.
So it's not happening on any of the other ones they did.
No.
So there's just something with that one, so.
Yeah.
They're gonna fix it, we just
Yeah.
don't know how yet. They were out there Friday looking at it themselves, like.
I'm just trying to figure out how it happened by looking at it.
You
When
see
I went
how
back to
it's
look
like
at it.
peeling off the first
Well,
lip?
yeah, and it looks like it's like twisting weird.
Yeah.
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 I was sitting there, it was the weirdest thing. I'm like, whoa, what? I thought, I'm like, did I break something? What the heck? Like, give me the shortest trip. And I thought, oh, I'll be late for work. No.
Yeah, hey Jake. What do you think our average is for vehicle traffic on Boynton West of Casey in a day?
In a day.
Waiting?
Oh, you
Quite a
had,
bit.
you had a meter out there, huh? Well, I go across 8 times.
Thank you.
Is that the point?
You have no idea how helpful that's going to be.
I keep going around the block.
Skew the number.
2,700 is what he had on here for vehicle count.
Is that for the week?
That's a daily count.
I think we can get that out between us.
Yeah, that's like 17,000.
The average, yeah.
I think
Mauer
everybody else
coming?
says they were coming. I don't know.
You want the actual number? 18,000.
Mauer coming? Sean, you know?
I text her.
Shredding a paper for school, so on my
Oh,
phone.
that could be her. That'd be the last one, wouldn't it?
You want some?
For the moves.
Oh,
Probably
okay.
not.
I was pulling it up.
It is, it's Mauer.
Yo.
Oh, Brittany, do you want, I have stuff over there. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm sure Jason.
You'd rather be nothing?
Yes.
Switching seats.
Yeah. My goal is to not say much to listen more.
Excuse me,
Hi, Brittany.
is this what's happening? Why? This is-
Well, Mr. Mayor was sitting there, so.
Oh,
I-
Tracy.
No, he moved. No, he moved.
How do you
I want to listen more than I talk today, so.
He moved
I
and
have
so,
never sat here before.
he moved and then I just didn't feel like moving over there,
I
so.
bet you do it all the time, I know.
Be here first and just
She
sit.
comes before the pool meetings and she sits in the I'm in my office thinking,
You have some pictures of her with the gavel.
Listen, you hear all the, somebody here? No, it's just Brittany.
Bad
Mr.
comments.
Chairman, I believe we're set.
Alrighty, I would like to call this meeting to order. Could I get a vote or nomination? Whatever.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. No, call it to order. Don't I have to get a motion to call it to order?
No, you
Or can I just call it to order?
Yep, then you need a motion and a second for the agenda.
Alright, well, let's do that then.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for the regular session meeting on October 6th.
And I'll second it.
Motion,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Alright,
Opposed? Unanimous? Alright. Visitors to be heard.
I didn't.
And Curtis too. Well, do we need to, not to point anybody out, but do we need to just get it in the minutes, attendance?
Oh, who's here? Why?
no, we asked that last meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought we said we did need to
I can't remember.
keep track
Yeah.
of that.
I think you have it on the
So
minutes from
I
last
do
time.
put it in the minutes.
Yep.
Oh,
but I
okay.
keep track of it, but,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, some
But-
people don't come, I guess is what you're maybe.
I think Chris was coming, and I don't know, Bobby didn't say anything.
I think she was, I don't think everybody said they were gonna try and make, except for Sean, who had a birthday and he came anyway.
Yeah, he was just deep.
Priorities.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was bad, I didn't mean that.
Do you track it like on a spreadsheet, what attendance?
I don't do it that way.
Okay.
I haven't, I can do that. if you want me to.
But it's in the minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was here and who wasn't?
We keep
Yeah.
track for council and P and Z who's in attendance, more for payroll than anything, but we could probably add that to that spreadsheet if you want.
And then make some kind of a, like if somebody that is chronically
Well,
absent.
Can we, is it, when we review this, maybe that's something that we should add?
You probably have to look at doing a new ordinance, but we can go over that.
Not that I wanna be a stickler, but just so we have a, facilitated forward.
I'll be interested
forward.
in who's coming forward and who's coming into meetings and stuff. But it's something I'd like to track too.
Wouldn't the minutes be the official document though?
Yes.
It
Because
is,
it's
but
on
just,
here, so.
but to have checks and balances as far as, just pull it up really quick on a spreadsheet, that's what you
See
do for
what
council,
percentage
right?
attendance is, those
Yeah.
kinds of
Rather than going back and pulling every single month of minutes and then writing down and counting, you know what I'm saying?
So what you're saying is you wanna create a spreadsheet?
No,
Oh, we have
I
that.
don't want
Oh.
to do that, but I'm saying it would be beneficial.
We're just
And
gonna,
then in the minutes, we probably just wanna add, not in attendance, and then list the names that weren't here.
And like the new business area.
No, just right after, members present were Clint, Jason, and then next sentence, not present. Chris and Bobby.
It's not last.
Oh, I see, so members absent and members present.
so,
Oh, okay,
so like right here, and then put,
sure,
and not, non-present,
sure.
ones who did not bring presents.
Yes. Yeah.
So, would you find these pens, are those both yours?
Yep. You can do one with the cap. All right, since there is no visitors that need to be heard, we have guidelines about that. You don't have to do anything with that, do we? That's just,
No, there's no.
okay, perfect. All right, minutes from our previous meeting on September 8th, 2019. Any questions with the meeting, our minutes? All right. All right, does somebody want to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes
I'll
from
second the
September
motion.
8th.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Reports, do we have any, well, we have reports. We have lots of.
No reports, this is all under new business.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Very good. All right, old business. Updates on assigned tasks. Who was assigned a task? Let's see here. We had, I know we talked about the matching funds, is that the new business? That was in the email.
Yeah, that's in a new business.
Okay.
Tina, isn't this something you asked for a couple
Yeah,
months ago?
just because like, I know that I had things that I was supposed to do,
Now,
and then I didn't end up doing it. But then, so, the only item would have been from a soccer perspective when we had that, our coaches meeting. We talked to those coaches about the soccer program in general. I had said a couple months ago that we would get some parents together to talk about it. And so we talked to them, and it seems like what we're doing right now is kind of what they think is okay, is what we took away from that. So that was just a follow-up, and I know that just sometimes we talk about, we'll check on things, or things will get checked on, and then we don't report back. So I was just wondering whether we could add that to report back. I don't know whether there was anything from last time. I was.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, this was kind of like, we're gonna create like a running
Yeah.
Mhm.
log of
Yeah.
kind of random stuff.
Mhm.
So it probably
But I don't.
should be
The
by
only,
now.
the only real follow-up I recall from last time was on the website.
Right.
Okay.
I think, Brittany had done some of that, checking into. And we don't, yeah, we do have that as a separate item under new business. I think we can cover that there.
Okay.
All right, park repair list update.
Street staff, when it's been raining out and they're not able to do the crack sealing, they've been working on a variety of different assignments. You know, last week, the last week or week before, the irrigation system was blown out. The next week, they'll probably be working on turning off water in a number of the buildings. Discussing when we should turn off water at the campground right now, how late do we want to, do we feel comfortable running that? I would be shocked if we don't have much longer than a couple weeks. We're gonna have a couple hard freezes here in the next 10 days. When we get down to the 20s, that's when we really start to risk some damage there, so. I believe Mitchell's in our public works department, I think he was looking at 2 matching backboards and baskets, the basketball court. If we can, we're gonna crack seal that as well this fall. There's a couple of streets we obviously have to get to, so it's gonna be later on our list, but that needs to be done. And Darren sat down with me last week and went through a list of items that he's working on for the fall shutdown, so we've got a number of things out there. One thing that is, he's thinking about doing differently this year, he talked to Brandon about their backstop net. They keep ours up year round. I don't know if we've had some damage to it before from wind, or what it might have been. What they do is, if we get a major ice storm, they go through and they knock the ice off of it, and that way they're not renting lift every spring and fall to get that thing up and down, so. Something he's willing to try out this fall. They're also, Brian, the new streets department employee, had an idea for working a lift, a boat hoist kind of thing, so. Instead of having to get the lift out there all the time, we'd be able to crank it up and crank it down, not have to worry about any damage to the field that way.
I'm assuming that on the water shut off stuff, he's got the concessions.
The new one.
The new one,
Yep.
you know, kind of
Yep.
on the list there.
All right, new business. The budget.
I think the big picture to take away from this, board members, is that if you look at what we were expected to net in 2019 and what we actually netted, is a mirror opposite of what was budgeted, almost exactly. We were budgeted for 35,800 in revenue, we took in 46,100. Our budget, we actually took in $46,390 and spent $36,260. So instead of operating at a net loss of $10,000 for 2019, right now we're operating at a net gain of just over 10,000. Obviously great news. That includes, we put a lot of the final expenses for the concession stand into this fund, as that was where we budgeted for it. And so, it's not like we skimped on anything that we needed to do there to keep those expenses down.
Is that maybe because we made so much money on concessions, or?
Yeah, there's
Is
a
there a
$9,000 surplus in concession, line number 2.
On the expense side, where you're gonna see the biggest changes on the public parking rec administrator contract, decided late last year not to fill that. That's a $5,500 change in your expense as well. Not all of the soccer expenses due for the year yet, so your expenses will go up yet. But I think after that, it's mostly gonna be limited to small items here and there. I think it's a great position to be going into next year, particularly if we're starting a new position, to have that money available and flexible for anything that may come up. So, you know what 201 fund balance is right now? 25,000, somewhere in there.
I don't know. I should have done the balance sheet. I was gonna say,
When you budgeted concession income for 2020, what did you, I guess it doesn't matter, it's just a budget item, but it won't be $15,000 in 2020.
I don't believe we budgeted that
no,
much.
I think it was like 4,000 or 5,000.
The income, or the revenue,
I believe so.
it should be higher than that, I guess, but still.
I can find it here in just a couple seconds.
What was the state tournament, wasn't that like, was that about?
Probably close to 6 or 7.
But I mean, was that gross or was that?
No, it was just revenue.
Right.
Yeah, so that would have been, so without the expenses,
I did put
I'm
down.
trying to remember what we brought in the bank deposits those days. I wanna say it was about 2,000 a day.
Was,
Brittany, do you remember what kind of the gross would have been for the state tournament?
Trying to remember the different
I thought it
nights.
was about 1,500 to $2,000 a day or something.
It's gotta be in that range.
Yeah, I was thinking 8,500 was what came to mind, 9,000, somewhere around there.
So that 6 number is a pretty good number.
Yeah.
That probably is more likely that we don't have any sort of big tournament around town.
We budgeted 8,000 in concession revenue for 2020.
That's fine.
All right, any other questions on the budget?
Did the budget that we went over a couple, did the city council approve the budget that you had proposed?
Yes, with
Okay.
some changes though. There were some changes to the park and recreation budget.
Oh, okay. And maybe you went over those last time.
Yeah, I did to an extent. I can give a brief overview.
Okay.
Just gotta pull that up and tell you what changed. I think the discretionary amount changed from 32 to 22, if I remember right.
Okay.
That wasn't in there, that was in general fund.
Right, I was gonna say, we didn't do anything.
Yeah, so discretionary went from 32 to 22. And then the only other difference we had is we changed how we would pay the park and rec administrator, the park and rec director. Half of it will come out of the general fund. I think 7,000 or 8,000 is gonna come out of the park and rec fund, 201. And then the rest would come out of pool. They'll be responsible for overseeing all pool operations. Those are the only major changes, and a couple other small ones here and there, just to bring us into a good position, but
Discretionary, what's that?
whatever you want it for. You wanna use it for leveling a softball field, you wanna use it for,
So you're saying there's 22,000 to put back into something next year? If you said it went from 32 to
22
22.
to 22.
I assume that was up.
I think we got from 22
Yeah, I
to 12.
figured it was 3,200 to 2,200.
Oh.
So 32,000.
Excuse me, $12,000 is what we have for discretionary.
Okay.
Not 22,000, 12,000.
It's 12,000.
Okay.
That's still more than 22. Okay.
So that's for, I think if we get into December, January, February, we start talking a little bit about what kinds of things we really want to see change for 2020 in terms of facilities or equipment. That's an opportunity to really make some headway as a board and say this is our priority for this year.
So going into the next line item, I don't wanna necessarily move on, but just to discuss that, was that the, website intended to come out of that 12,000 discretionary, or was that something that was previously budgeted? So we had discussed $1,300, at a previous meeting.
I mean, I think that can come from the 201 fund,
Yeah.
you know, and
And I didn't know
Nothing
if
to
that
do with
was
the
something that
discretionary.
was a line item that was approved.
Yeah, I can't remember what we had,
Right.
you know, on the line items. I didn't see it in minutes, but.
If I remember right, websites were all under general government. Let me check them all out. So what we ended up having, under general government, and we weren't sure how much of this was gonna be used up by Park and Rec or not. We put $2,500 in general government for website upgrades, just in general.
So will that be an annual amount, or is that an initial amount this year?
That's just $2,500 for what we need to make it be,
Okay,
just for this year.
okay.
No, I don't think we'd have any problem doing that in future years, but
I think it's an annual contract anyway, so.
what's the
Let me-
charge for, isn't it the first year more?
It is if we want certain
If you wanna upgrade.
functionality, yeah,
Yeah.
so, and I can discuss that a little bit too when we're done with budget.
I think the cost for the current website comes out of Fund 201.
Okay,
So the ongoing operations and maintenance of that website comes out of the Park and Rec Fund. Any upgrades or updates that we need to do to that website or move towards another, you guys decide, that's where that 2,500 will come in.
okay.
Anything else budget related? All right, let's move then to the website.
Okay, so our original discussion a couple years ago, when we looked into Sports Engine, was about $1,300 was the projection. I believe Sam looked into it, and I think where the 1,300 was coming from is the first year, if you want a system administrator to go in and basically develop and build everything, which is a lot of what was done volunteer this summer, that would be an additional $500 that first year, so it'd be the $749 plus $500 the first year. Every year thereafter would be $749 without any additional administrative functionality, so we would be basically going in, and if we wanted the banner to change on the front page, we could do that, which for what I did this summer, I want to be able to have that ability. I don't wanna have to contact a third party to do that for us. So from my perspective, I'm comfortable with the $749. I think if we wanted it to look really nice the first year doing the $500, I think that would be appropriate, but going forward, I don't think we need any of the other tiers. I had sent an email on September 18th with all that information. There are some videos in there if you guys wanna look at it, but the functionality is significantly greater than what we have now. The administrative functionality, you literally drag and drop things onto the page and you can see it all virtually build as you're sitting there as a system administrator. That's a huge plus from what we've had before. So it's hard for me to describe exactly what's different, but I think the man hours are going to be significantly reduced with that new website. Sports Engine is used by a lot of the larger schools, even some of the smaller ones. I know one of the options on there, the examples was Hartford. So theirs I thought looked really nice. The one disadvantage that I could see from that is they do have, first of all, they have the online payment system. This isn't the disadvantage, but the online payment system comes with it. A lot of times you have to get an outside third party to be tied in, piggybacked onto that website to get your payment system and registration to connect. Even though it looks like it's from the same website, it is an outside entity. So if we did the $749, the downside is there is a per registration fee. So when someone goes in and does an online, Sean goes in to register his girls for Park and Rec, per registration he'll pay, either he will pay or we will eat 3%. And that's like an online fee. Now, of course, the rep is gonna tell me that's very common, but in my own experience registering in places, other rec programs, we used to do some things in T, and then in Sioux Falls, you typically pay some type of fee for paying online, but just wanted to hear thoughts on that. I think we are in a position where we could afford to eat that 3%. However, it's very difficult to budget that because we don't know if we'll have 250 kids or 500 kids, and it's gonna change every year. So,
We've been eating it already for the last 2 years.
is there a fee currently?
No,
I
The
didn't
credit
know that.
card.
Yeah.
Credit
we've been
card.
paying-
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been
Yes.
paying credit card processing fees,
Yep, yep. So, and that's where we put in the revenue is what we actually get. And then I put in the 3% as an expense,
Okay,
so that expense is in there.
Yeah, so we should just keep doing it that way.
okay.
Well, and, you know, if it can go through the city, they get a lot better rate than 3%. But like even with my company, I'm paying about 3% for everybody that pays me with a credit card. That's a pretty normal. I think last year, somehow, some way, it seems like sometimes these say we're paying more than 3%.
It was on some things, and I don't know why that was.
Yeah, it seems
but-
so.
So the Sports Engine representative that I've been speaking with, I know they're trying to sell a product, but they did tell me what we're using currently, we are highly underpaying for what we're getting. And they thought that when we go to renew our contract, it's probably going to increase at some point. It sounded like it was almost a wash in cost for their basic package and Sports Plus basic package, and they couldn't believe what we were paying, which is 300 and some, I believe.
Might be 300 or 350 maybe.
And the functionality is so vastly different, I can't imagine they're a similar price. So I think it's a no-brainer, but
I think, my opinion is, there's a lot of places that use it,
yeah,
and there's not a lot that uses Sports Plus. Now granted, we only used Sports Plus for 1 year because it got bought, you know, our other place got
Right.
bought, so I don't see why we wouldn't try
Mhm.
Sports Engine or whatever, because a lot of people are using it. And
yeah.
I mean, locally around here,
Yeah.
they're using it, so,
One with Sports Plus, there were so many bugs this summer that I would
yeah.
email and ask them to, can we get this, can we get that? Some of the answers were, no, sorry, this isn't something we're able to do, we'll put it on the list for the future. Or they would say, well, we'll try to do it right now, but it still wasn't quite what I needed it to be. And so I feel like it's very limited on what they are able to offer. In addition, for the parent side, the parent perspective, it comes with an app that's very user-friendly, which I think is gonna be excellent for our parents to be able to just open an app and look at the schedule. They ensured me that the calendar and the schedules all communicate, everything overlaps really nicely, so we won't have the issue like we had this past year where someone goes into schedule, if they do it on one type of desktop versus their phone, it's not gonna overlap and show them that there's already somebody playing on that field. And there's so many issues that I've noticed this year, I
It's gonna
guess.
save the coaches a lot of time too.
Yeah,
Yes.
even on the coaching aspect, it's easy to use.
Yeah,
I mean, you can communicate with your parents so easy with the app.
yeah.
Yeah, compared to what we're trying to do this summer with the,
At what point do you have to start building the next year's
Sure.
website, basically?
So they said even if we don't do the $500, they still help us to build it initially. I told them we have this meeting tonight and likely we would have an answer within the next 2 weeks. And they said that they would start building something for us if we said yes, in collaboration with me or whoever. And then we can roll that out. I said I wanted it to roll out January 1. So they would build it behind the scenes until that's the other thing I wanted to ask, is there a non-compete agreement, I guess, with the other company? Can we just switch immediately and drop them? Do
What are
we
you talking
have to?
about?
Like our contract isn't up until
No,
December 31.
There's no contract, we pay it, you just pay it annually.
Sports Plus, we have a
Right.
contract.
Yeah, but there's no, I mean, I pay it,
It's like
there's
an
no
annual
real contract. It was,
It's
just
an
a
annual
purchase.
contract though?
it's just a
And then that's it.
annual part that went to my credit card. So
Okay.
you just have to renew your thing, there's no contract, there's nothing signed.
So
Okay.
they do a go live of January 1st?
Yes, go live, but they would show it to us ahead of time and they can go live sooner. They said that was plenty of time.
I mean, I would start sometime in December, getting it all
Yeah.
up, because January, you gotta start getting it ready, to get all the things inside of it to get.
I
registration
said,
by the end of
ready
the
for
year.
registration and parent use by January 1. So that means
Yeah.
we would see it would be live, so to speak, for our viewing in December or November.
The only thing I think we probably gotta check into, and I'm not sure who did it, but, at one point we licensed, LennoxParkandRec.com. We bought that.
They can use
Website.
the same, they said they're able to use the same domain.
Yeah, so you just gotta kind of work that domain or whatever it is so that it goes to that site.
I think
You go
it's
to both.
something typically that they would do if.
They purchase the name, so they should purchase the domain name for it.
Well, I think we purchased it because we wanted to own it.
Okay.
And you bought it for like a 3 or a 5 year license or something like that. But then they can go on the backside and make it, so that's the
Yeah.
only thing that, otherwise, as soon
I'll
as
check
it's.
with them and to see if that's something we need to do because we purchased it, but as far as I understood is they take care of that, and they said, yeah, absolutely, we will get your same domain. So, I don't know if they go in and buy it, I don't know how that
No,
works.
you buy this website, anybody can buy, your name, and then they put it behind the search engine or whatever the deal. So we wanna own that.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, you'd have to buy it from whoever. We always want to own that, so that no matter who's Sports Engine or whoever else, we own LennoxParkandRec.com.
So do we pay separately for that?
You do, but,
I mean,
It's
where
so
is that
many
coming
year-
from? Is that coming from the 201 and when does that expire?
It's not much money even.
no, it's not, and I don't know when it expires. I don't know if Kara's the one that rebought that last time, or,
That's weird, just wondering who gets the expiration
Yeah.
email.
Okay.
Right.
I'm guessing Kara. I'll reach out to Kara about
And
that.
I don't know, maybe I did it too, I guess, or maybe even Chad or I remember when this stuff all kind of came up, we were kind of all three doing something,
Try to
but.
get it either to your email.
I remember Jason bringing it, or Chad bringing it up at a meeting.
Yeah, he
But
did
I don't
one,
know.
I don't know if that was was,
But I can't remember whether that was the actual website
I know.
or the sport, or the
Right.
Sports Plus, cause I think it was the Sports Plus, cause it was like $300 or something, and you just paid for it, whereas the website.
So how
domain
much,
not-
how
not
much was it again?
much.
749. Do you want me to resend you
I can
the
go
whole
back and
email?
I can
Okay.
find it. And then,
but like I said, that
so,
renewal email, I'm not.
and then the $500 is for what again?
When we get-
So
when we
they
figure
would
that
go
out, we should
in
update
and
that to either
basically
finance
do the
officer or
initial
administrative
design,
officer,
which
Whoever it
I
turns
do
over to
think
is-
would be beneficial
Right.
for
That-
us,
that
just because I think it
yeah.
would, for $500, I'm assuming it looks really nice, and I would like them to at least do that initial design, and then we can maintain it. I don't think we need to pay those administrative fees going forward. But it's always something we can add if we get in there and it's too much for us to.
It should, we've done all the rest of them. and they
Right.
are,
Right,
So,
I'll speak so soon. Well, it'll be up to the park and rec person,
yeah,
unless you're applying for that.
they're gonna come in and
Jason.
they're gonna be a whiz kid at websites, so we'll be good.
You're applying for the job?
No, I'm saying that's gonna be a whiz
He's
kid.
gonna apply
That's
for it.
part of the, it'll be on the resume.
So I guess
So
what we
Jason is
would.
applying for the
No.
job, just so we're
Yes,
clear.
let's put that
Strike that from the record.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Get that in the minutes.
I'm sure we got all kinds of time. So I guess what we need to vote on, if we can vote on this today, I would like to, so I can get back to them, is do we want to move forward with Sports Engine? And then, do we want to do that first administrative cost, the $500?
So we can just take a vote on that, right?
Yeah.
Or we would just motion to make a recommendation to make.
A motion, Motion in a second.
Well, I'm gonna motion to bring this up for a vote.
I don't know if you
You
can.
motion, yeah, you.
Someone other than the chairman. has
Oh.
to.
Okay, I'll motion that we bring the Sports Engine up for a vote, and and a second vote for the $500 admin fee.
You can back Joel with one.
Okay,
I'll
I
make
just
the
wanna
vote.
motion it all. I'm motioning for everything.
I second.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion for the Sports Engine app. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? There we go. You have your answer. All right, is there anything else with the website?
I don't think so. I'm just
Awesome.
excited to use it, to be honest.
I can tell. You're like, ooh,
if you're
it's
excited,
Christmas.
we're good, Brittany.
If I'm happy, I'm
You're
really
happy?
happy.
You're happy, we're happy.
Because Jason's seen me very angry before.
All right, well, soccer program.
So, we haven't yet been rained out, so that's good.
We're gonna get snowed out next weekend.
No, don't say that, it's not gonna happen. I did send out an email yesterday, asking parents not to park in the parking lot, but I guess they did anyhow. So,
Silkups listened for the.
so
Parking means software.
I asked, so I don't know, I didn't make it over there today to see whether it was tore up too bad, do you know?
People, where they parked, they stayed, I mean,
Mhm.
over on the better parts. but-
Okay. Yeah, so anyhow, we're trying to keep them off of that, particularly the grass areas, so that they don't tear it up and ruin it, but so far it's been going well, and the kids and coaches are, doing good, so otherwise I can't think that there's anything else. Cassie, do you have anything, Kelsey?
Talked with Mitch Mergen, city engineer, last week about Central Basin 3, which kicks off next year. It's going to be reconstructing this area of town, finishing out that area. We're trying to figure out where we want to put our spoils, the dirt that we pull out of there. And there may be a really good opportunity to work on the old football field and really get some of the drainage fixed. Get it moving towards the ditch on Highway 44. And maybe even get an actual parking lot, even if it's just some gravel that's put down.
Yes, that would be very nice.
So if that's something that we're generally supportive of, we can certainly look at doing that next year. We can't take all of it there, and that's like a lot of stuff, but, if we at least have that as an option, it wouldn't get started, I don't think, until, soccer is done for the spring. So we might have to figure out where we hold fall soccer, if seating and everything can't be done already, but
Okay.
I think it'd be a really, reasonable cost-wise option for making some improvements for that one.
I think that'd be great.
Well, especially since we have that drainage, with all that
Right.
work. And it looks like it's going, and they opened that up to the creek by that trailer park thing. So, better than it was.
Yes.
It looks better.
Yeah, we think it can at least handle that.
Yeah.
You know, we certainly don't want any water running west to Elm.
Right.
And sometimes that can happen down that gravel street, so. We also want to be mindful of the houses that sit to the west of the soccer field, that we're not, inundating them with water by changing the grading on there too. So we'll have to figure out some, either sub-drain or some, a ditch plan to move water away from.
Drain tile of some sort, maybe.
So, again, an option, we don't know what the total cost on something like that would be right now, but at a minimum, we can get the dirt out there and take care of it.
The only other thing I had for soccer, sorry, I had parents asking to be able to use the bathroom, in the new concession stand. Is that not available? Like, it wasn't available?
Wasn't open?
It was not open?
It should be. There was a weekend where it wasn't open because Lauren had a key.
Oh.
She was in
that's
Florida.
right. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
And the
maybe it
only
was
key
just
we
a,
have, maybe Darren should get, maybe he did it already, but got an extra key for those bathrooms.
I think he did, but I'll follow up. We need to have another discussion on keys.
But I think that was,
I thought he went in that day and made copies of that.
that was a weekend ago or something maybe?
That's really
yeah, it was
recent.
like.
Or 2 weeks ago?
I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was, he called me.
Okay,
but
so maybe it was
I
just a
never
glitch
really-
thing. That was the only time that parent came up and was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
hey.
So I've heard the same thing with, we had the adult kickball league, which, I know soccer with the kiddos and stuff. Not
Yeah.
that one is more important than the other, but for sure for soccer. And then I know fall softball. So I don't know the best process of making sure it's open on certain days or just keeping it open like we do at Westerman Park, during the day until November 1st or whatever it
and I
is.
think
We
that's
talked
already,
about
that's
that.
already in the plan, isn't it?
We talked about
I
it.
mean, not maybe
It's
getting done,
supposed
but
to
it's
be, not
Yes,
happening.
Yeah.
right.
And
If
I
it's
thought
not
that
happening regularly, then
the
we need to
police
redress it.
opened and closed the other one, and I thought they were gonna open and close. Oh, they don't always do that.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah,
there's
we
some,
did talk about that at it.
Yeah.
there's some inconsistency in how that's being handled.
Okay.
Okay.
Both between, Parker Public Works and PD and who's doing what, so we just need to figure some of that out,
Yeah, just because I mean, even if there's not the softball or the soccer going on, there is the
There's a
little play
playground
set
there.
there.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if the parents are taking their kids there and they
And
don't
I see
want
kids
to,
there
like-
frequently.
Right, I see them a lot there, and so you're not wanting to like wander around parks with a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old that's like,
Yeah,
so, right?
when they announce it's time, it's.
Yes, that's right, you want to be able to like get it
we're lucky
done.
if we can get to
right?
the bathroom.
That's right.
Are there cameras right there, Jason, kind of watching all that? Okay.
Not the bathroom.
Not in there, but in the front of it.
Well,
I know it's not inside the bathroom, but there's not a camera that points
So
that.
like if it
There
is,
is?
if some
I
kind
suppose
of
you would
damage
know,
happens-
huh?
Some
Some
significant
damage.
privacy concerns.
There's the one along the front, there's one along the east side, and then there's one along the south.
I didn't know there was one on the east.
Now you gotta watch what you're doing.
Yes, exactly, not gonna,
That's a
don't review the cameras.
All right, I think that wraps up soccer. All right, pool project.
So for the pool, I unfortunately had to miss the last project update meeting. I got stuck at work, but from what I understand anyways, I mean, you can drive by and see, obviously, what are they called?
The trusses are up.
Trusses.
Yep.
Are up, and the zero depth entry is all
I think it's all poured.
poured, and that's what, when I walked over there, it looked like it was all complete for pouring, so.
Yeah, James, he's been gone the last week, but the only thing we're really trying to figure out right now is that we got a quote from Excel for $9,000 to run a phase 3 electrical line there. Well, we already have phase 3 over there, or so we think, so. We're kind of waiting for James to get back to clarify whether that's even necessary or not.
Jason, do you remember any discussion about that was ever needed, like in past 2, 3, 4 years ago pool discussion?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know, not for power.
Yeah, like why that wouldn't have been brought up before, if they knew it was needed.
Part of it's gonna depend on some of the changes we've made too. So the heaters, for example, that's gonna run on phase 3 power. The extra pumps are gonna need that, for the submarine. So part of it could be a result of that. But as far as we know, we've got 3-phase going to the pole there, so. Jeremy will be visiting with James this week, trying to clarify some of that with Thompson Electric as well, and go from there.
So if that is something that is not there, the phase 3, and we need it, we can utilize that contingency money.
The remainder of the pool
Right.
fund,
Okay.
yeah, what hasn't been dedicated towards, the amenities already.
Because there is still a portion there that was not fundraising dollars, that were city-funded dollars. So I
Okay.
think, because we always talked about not using fundraising dollars for anything other than amenities. But I think there is still a large portion that you
Yeah.
could argue
There's no-
is still city match.
We've not seen anything that says this X percentage is fundraised, this X
Right.
percentage is tax revenue. We don't have that.
Right.
But I'm fairly certain that a good amount of it has.
A very large chunk was from the city.
Okay. Working on internet service out there too. We want to be able to get the internet service out there. One of the things that when we get closer to opening up, Denise and I have talked about using Square as a POS or something similar.
You should use that about payment as a point of sale.
Yeah, I saw that.
Maybe.
So if it ties into everything else, that'd be great. But we could also start using that. We could probably shoot it across the street to the concession stand as well, and use it there if we needed to. I do worry, hear me talk about my worry frequently with handling cash. I hate cash. I hate having anybody having to handle cash because they're the ones responsible for it. And we know that there are inconsistencies that can happen, usually unintentional when you're handling cash, and having a way to track that, to figure out where those pickups come in.
And we'll have a lot of underage employees as well.
We will. Yeah. So it's one of those things to make sure we have a safeguard in there. It's not just a regular old cash register, but some safeguards for internal controls.
So in regards to setting fees, I know nobody probably wants to think about swimming lessons right now, but some
We got a heater.
parents who are very, some parents who are very organized, look ahead, not in October, but beginning of the year. And so I think we should start talking about what are we going to charge, and we
Yeah.
did at one time. There was a strong push from the community for, because we are paying it community tax dollars, if you own a home in the community, that you're having to pay for the pool, but somebody outside of that, the city,
Limits?
what's it called?
Limits.
City limits.
City limits, thank you, I thought you said Lennox. Outside of the city limits, doesn't have to pay for the bond. And so, do residents of Lennox pay less for a pass? That was brought up a lot in our community discussions. So, what I wanna know is that a pool and park and rec board decision, or are those things that the new park administrator is going to decide?
I think it's an all of the above
Okay.
decision. The budget the city council passed included some fee increases, obviously, but it did not include different rates for Lennox residents versus non-Lennox residents. That's not to say that we can't do that, just that how we projected the revenue did not include that, so.
Right, okay.
Which one of those ones did you go with? Like you had proposed like three different fees or whatever that,
Do you remember?
I think it was $100 for mailing and.
What
Because we
was,
went
Yeah,
what
I
was that, I'm sorry?
I've got it in
We
the
went over it.
budget.
Over what?
What we
went
were
over
gonna
the
charge.
possibilities,
Yeah.
What we were gonna charge
For
for
membership.
pool, for the
Back
membership.
in,
I think
July
it
or
was-
August,
Maybe I
I
wasn't
think.
here.
I think you might have been gone,
Okay,
and we went over it, but I don't know whatever got like actually proposed and pushed forward.
This maybe, have you seen that?
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that.
That thing.
Is that the one with the different
Yeah.
towns on it?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so what we proposed was a different sheet though.
Oh, you proposed
So
a
I'll,
different sheet.
yeah, I'll,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll see if I can dig that up. I know I've got a hard copy of it in the
Yeah.
office somewhere.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think
I just wanted to make sure that wasn't something I needed to start working on. When do you plan to advertise for the new position?
Probably December.
And when would there be their starting, their projected start
I would
time?
like to have them in February first. If we need to go earlier, we can. Really, all we have to do at this point is get that job description done, approved, and out the door. That shouldn't take, we'll have that done this month if we need to.
There is a lot of work in January that I
Mhm.
think would be beneficial for the new administrator or whatever the title
To at
is.
least be around.
To be around for and to see how that process works.
Okay.
Because a large bulk of getting registration built and going and implemented really happens before February 1. And then it rolls out ideally February 1. And so I think it would be beneficial for that to be earlier.
I agree.
It also,
When do you have soccer starting off April?
No, they both baseball and soccer started at about the same time as far as registration went.
Okay.
And so we were building out the baseball and softball. I think it was in January that I was doing
Oh,
that.
okay.
I feel like it was January that I was putting all
I think we
the
need to
programs
do
in.
everything.
And I remember we had it rolled out like February 11th and that was late.
Yeah, right. I think it was January that I was
Yeah.
and I was doing soccer. I did all
Right.
of
but
them.
yeah, there's a lot to do behind the scenes,
Yeah.
which we're doing, and, you know, cause it goes really fast, and most of that work is all up until, you know, that first part of the year, for these baseball stuff and softball stuff is, you know, there's plenty to do.
Okay. Does the board want to see that job description before we put it out there? Or are you
Yes.
good with, okay,
I'm sorry, I would like to see it.
okay.
I just want you to get a
Would
home
you-
run.
Let's see.
It's not very easy out there now.
No, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And we've been, I've talked to a couple of people already, folks that applied last summer that thought it was a full-time job that had really great credentials for this kind of position. So I told them, hey, just so you know this is happening and we'll be in touch, but, we do have to get a job description approved by city council, so if the board wants to approve it or just review it,
I think just review, I don't
Okay.
think we need to
Just
review.
approve.
okay. 'Cause if it's just review, I might even be able to get it on the 15th. If not, we'll get it on the 28th and probably start advertising in early November that way.
I think it would just be
sooner
nice to be able to have input if there's
Mhm.
anything we see that's missing, so even over email, I know
Yeah.
you like to have it in a meeting, which I understand, but if you wanted to get it approved earlier.
Yeah, again, it doesn't necessarily take formal action from the board, but I think in terms of tasks and other things that need to be completed, just as a group, I know the most about that. So I think it certainly makes sense to have it.
If you have it in the minutes for a city council meeting, if you just wanna direct us to board docs instead of emailing it out to all of us, I think we can all figure out how to get on there
I try not to put it on there until it's ready.
right before.
Yeah, if I have to pull it out, then it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But I'll send it out.
All right, anything else with the pool? All right, concession stand restroom project, wrap up?
Not much to that. I do think Jeff Spieler went in there and built some shelves for the equipment. I don't know if he got it done or not. I guess he was gonna do that last weekend. I know he was up there on Sunday of last weekend, but I don't know if he did that or not. I told him that we would reimburse him for materials. He thought it'd be maybe $75 or something if he, but I haven't gone up there to see if he did. Have you guys been up there?
I was in there about 2 weeks ago, just kinda looking at it, see what would need to be done to build some
It'd have been
shelves.
last Sunday, he called me, I was like,
Yes, like 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
I was in there about a week ago, but I can't remember if it was before that Sunday or not.
But other
I
than
didn't
that,
see anything.
nothing's really been
Wasn't
done.
looking for it though.
There was a lot of stuff in there that isn't ours.
There's
Like
like,
what?
It's just fall ball stuff, I'm assuming. Kind of looked like our stuff was jostled around a little bit too, so. Hopefully nothing's missing.
I put
Well-
old softball equipment that somebody gave me that they accidentally kept for like 4 years, if that's maybe what it is. It wasn't me. I'm
No,
not
there
gonna
was-
name names, but it
there
was like a
was-
big blue bag and some catching
is-
gear.
No, these are like, there's like 3 or 4 pitching machines and
Oh,
Yeah.
pitching machine balls. And it's clearly the fall ball.
I mean, we've got some pitching machine stuffs too, but where'd that go, I wonder?
There's a old like swing one in the equipment
T-ball shed.
in the shed.
So we should have a swing ball one, and we should have a, electric, or you know, like a, I don't know, it's jugs or
Wheel,
whatever,
yeah.
some sort of wheel one,
What
but
was that, a baseball thing?
it could be used for either, we bought it
You know
from,
where it is?
the crew.
It's in the
It might be in that middle building.
small one, that's where it is.
Yeah. But we should probably at some point get some sort of, I don't know if it's barrier or some sort of rule
Yeah.
as to when other people are using this, so that our stuff isn't just,
Yeah, because people in there are, I mean, they've been a part of the program before and haven't really treated our equipment with respect, so.
Once those shelves are up, is there a way we can, not that anybody wants to go in and do this, but organize and say this is the section for fall ball and this is the section for
I just think
baseball
fall ball shouldn't necessarily be,
in there?
I don't
Stored
know,
in there.
I don't know, we'll have to figure
Or
it
have
out,
like a
something. Can't they put it
separate
in the other
area.
shed?
Yeah, or
Can't
yeah,
they use that
They
middle
could
shed?
do
why,
I mean,
yeah, why couldn't they use the middle shed?
keep ours, to keep, you know, and
Yeah.
One thing we have to keep in mind is if an outside entity's equipment is stored in our building, what that does for liability. Are they insuring it, are we insuring it?
Another thing we'll run into with that though is high school baseball. They have to have equipment.
they
At
are
the
in
big
our
field.
buildings.
There's none at the big field, nothing that's
The
not
big
ours.
field, no, they use the stuff that's at the big field, that's all city stuff. They don't bring anything in.
They don't have their own equipment.
No, only thing that, you know, maybe an equipment bag, but they bring it with them every time, but they don't have any
So
separate
that brings
equipment.
up a new issue. Do we allow high school softball to utilize our equipment if baseball does? Just gonna say it because it was brought up.
The facilities use agreement really only covers facility, it doesn't cover equipment.
I mean, they're not using our equipment, they're not using our balls, they're not, the high school isn't using our balls and our bats or any, you know, all they're using is a field.
So when you say equipment, you mean field.
Yeah, I mean, they're not
Oh, okay.
using our equipment.
You're not using your jerseys, you're not using your
No,
matches gear.
no,
Is it being stored in our buildings?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They don't have any
I
equipment.
don't think it is.
I mean,
it's
they
just a
pitch
bag.
to the kids, and the equipments or the uniforms they give out to
Yeah.
the players. So the only thing, and honestly, fall ball doesn't really have anything either, other than those pitching machines. And then they might be storing their bags there instead of taking them with them in their
Yeah.
truck or something.
There's a lot of stuff in there, but it could be baseball stuff, I didn't start smoothing around.
There's a lot of stuff in there, but I thought most of it was ours,
Okay.
except for maybe, you know, I said those pitching, and I even thought maybe those were ours, but I didn't know. But yeah, we should, I mean, I don't, there's not much that fall ball would have even besides that either, or any baseball thing for that matter, besides if they have their own pitching machines.
So we either need to change or update the facilities use agreement to say that it covers equipment, storage of equipment, or we need to say you can't store it in there if you're an outside city entity utilizing the fields. If it's a liability concern.
I don't know how big of a concern it will be, it's just something that we need to consider.
I mean, me personally, I just wanna make sure that our stuff that we put in there is still there when we
Yeah.
go back the
Right.
next
Right.
time to use it. And the more people that are in there just doing whatever,
The bigger chance or
I
something.
think we should discuss whether we have some of that added into our policies and procedures in terms of key checkout. And I may have something in there already, but it may not be.
What code, like for fall ball or church league softball, like, can we give them a unique code? So if something does go missing, we know where it came from.
yeah, I mean, we can give them whatever code we wanna give them.
You know what code they're using?
I'm
I
sure
don't wanna
the-
say it in our minutes,
Or
We don't want it on,
So,
on
yes, you-
camera.
but at the same
And
point,
YouTube
they're-
for
after the season was over, you know, all the season, I switched that code.
It is a different.
And some of you guys know that, but, that's the code they're using. That's what everybody's using for that. But we should probably give city and everybody else, I didn't know if I'll be using it, so I kinda thought it was done, and the only people that used it would be the city, so. But then,
I mean, why do they need access?
They run up the concessions out of there.
Yeah.
they asked.
They
to
did
use it.
ask to use it, yeah.
So, but we can give them a different code, so then we know.
Who's in it and when, yeah.
The hard part is, we're not 100% sure what we do have. That's the
Right,
thing.
our inventory
Our
got better
inventory.
this year,
Yeah.
but it's still not where it
That's-
needs to be.
It's not like,
Put that on the job description.
yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
do inventory.
That's
And
more.
we're going to be, putting asset tags on equipment too, so that's something that's definitely going to be, an issue with all of our recreation equipment.
And since we don't have anything built in there to kind of bring it in there, lock it up or store it, you know, efficiently, it's just all piled in
Can
there.
you build cabinets and put doors locked for that service to work?
I think he built shelves. We had cabinets in the city maintenance shop, and they kind of had doors and stuff on that were
When you
locked.
lock it, no one can get in it anyway.
Well, the theory is the building's locked and secured, so we kind of thought we wouldn't have to necessarily put lockers. Because we'd be building lockers just so that the soft, you know, whoever that really shouldn't necessarily be using the building doesn't steal our stuff, you know?
Right.
So I don't know if we want to do a bunch of extra work for,
So instead of a locker, what about just like a fence with a door, like, you know, 'cause when you come into that one area
yeah.
where that garage door is, make that a separate area nobody else can get into. You know, so if they wanna bring, if they, yeah, fence it in, if they wanna bring in their pitching machines, there's plenty of room. You can wheel them right in that door right there on the side. You don't have
That
to,
is a
you don't have to
really
go,
good idea.
you don't have to go in the garage door.
The thing, the concern, I'm sorry, the concern I see with that is in the summertime, so that creates a padlock key issue that we have
Well,
all
you-
summer, right, where people couldn't get in, but you could just,
You can keep at it,
we could lock it after the summer
right.
term too.
Yeah. Just
But I
make
know
it-
the padlock keys created a
Yeah.
huge nightmare, and so that would be creating another
I mean, there
padlock key.
is a camera in there,
No big deal.
Oh, yeah.
so,
To check out,
So you can see.
yeah.
so
I
if
think
we
the
thought,
problem is
it's more
do
of
we know
us
if
getting.
somebody grabs a bucket of balls, like, am I gonna know that's missing? I'm not gonna know that.
Well, that's, I mean, it's more us getting our stuff organized to know what we have than it is, and the fact that, you know, we kinda got the building done, we used it, and we aren't done, and they're using it, and we're still in a unorganized use of it ourselves, that makes it harder. We just gotta assume that they aren't stealing our stuff, you know what I mean? So and that's probably a very good assumption. I can't imagine that they're necessarily going in.
Right.
So theoretically, our fall ball's done this week, right?
It's done now, it finished today.
Okay, so whatever equipment they have in there should probably be gone this week, so if I go snoop around next Sunday to see if the shelves are made, and I can kind of do re-inventory the softball stuff anyway.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
One thing before I finish talking about this is the old concession stand. It, like all the windows are broke and the glass is on the floor, and it's just, the door's like open and shut with the wind, and it's just kind of.
Doors open?
Yeah,
It
It's
well,
does,
open when
it
I-
doesn't shut.
It's got that one of those little
Like,
things.
if you walk through the park, I don't know, it's always open or cracked open.
Should I
And
screw,
that's-
should I screw it, should I
They
just
don't
put,
padlock.
and I won't screw them all
You
the way
can,
in.
or you can just have, I mean, you can have somebody go down there.
Yeah, and maybe even
Wednesday
board
I'll
up
stick a screw in.
where the windows are or something, so people can't just go in there, cause the
Yeah.
glass, it's all broken on the floor, it's,
Can't clean that up.
and
it's
they
just not
move it
good to
the TV.
let kids
Yeah, we
play at
talked
the park
about
and like wander and go in there.
Like 2 years ago. That's not their
I mean, if that's, we could talk about that in other meetings too, but it wouldn't be bad to get down to the T-ball field. We talk about revenue. I bet you there's a lot of revenue there on a Sunday,
Oh, yeah.
at least in freezy revenue.
Ring pops.
Yeah.
You could pay for it, ring
Ring
pops.
If you get them
Yeah.
frozen before the games.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
I don't know what there is for power down there or where it should go, but that's kind of the thought of where it would end up is down there.
Okay.
That, you know, the other building that's in there is still being used, we use it for rakes and different stuff, but that concession building, I don't think we use it at all
there's not.
here.
You just break glass in it.
Yeah, just kids breaking it, breaking stuff.
I did have to kick some kids out of there when we were playing kickball. So,
They were in the level.
inside it.
Were they your kids?
You're the one who walked over there and kicked them out, wasn't it?
No, he was
You
one
know
of the
what I'm
most-
talking
I know,
about.
but you were not, you were going to save some little kid that.
Some kid was crying or
Yeah.
something.
Oh. Well, somebody walked over
Was it
there and
Brandy's
just said,
kid?
oh, they
I
can't
think
be,
it was.
oh, Anthony walked over there.
Callie crying.
Probably not kids.
There goes,
Throw that out.
Alright, anything else for concession stands? Alright, baseball. Anything?
I don't think there's much to report on that, we haven't been,
I
other
think
than.
baseball should have been softball.
yeah, but we didn't,
Didn't you
just
have
like,
something
Yeah.
to bring up last
Yeah.
meeting and then
Yeah.
we didn't do it?
I,
yeah, I should've looked at
emailed
the
you.
agenda better.
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
So we can get it on the record, this is Nate's fault. This is supposed to say softball.
Oh, really? It's
I think we
not-
can
really-
just assume that anyway.
And I glanced down and I just assumed it said softball, and I didn't even read it.
can we just pretend that that says softball?
Can we amend it quick?
No, we gotta do it at the beginning.
Oh.
We're supposed to do it at the beginning.
But we can,
Can we
talk
just
about
every
it.
What
time
do
we
you- what do
say
you
the word
have on
baseball, we
softball?
mean softball?
I'm not sure, we were gonna talk about it last week, or the last meeting, and then, because it wasn't on.
Yeah, well, the last meeting I wanna talk about the field, which we covered in a different, separate topic, but, for the church league softball, I am gonna be running it from here on out, and we're gonna charge each team $150 to join the league, just to put something back into,
Back to the city.
yeah, cause the kids play roughly for $20 a kid, and this comes out to, if there's 10 people on a team, it's $15 an adult to play, so.
I mean, it's not like it's an action item, so, I mean.
No.
But, you know, at one point, we tried to, and this is a baseball related thing, we tried to get, there's a lot of different teams and organizations that use these fields.
Yeah.
And we were trying to get everybody on the same page so that everybody contributed and helped a little bit. That's the high school, the Legion, this
Yeah.
softball, fall softball, the church league, because a lot of this comes all back to just our group and baseball, softball here.
Yep.
And a lot of these other people that use these fields don't give back or do anything. Now, the Legion did a lot with that turf
Right.
and stuff like that, but the idea was if we're all doing a little something,
Yep.
then,
Yeah.
you know, that's all a good thing. So church has been one thing that, you know, they take a night
They take a
from
night
softball
from
that
the
needs
girls.
that night.
Well, we
And
brought that, I was at the meeting
That
with
was my
Sean,
point,
and, the church league meeting, and we brought that up, is that's taking a whole night away, which really binds up practice time. And once,
Game time.
what?
And game time, too.
So once we explained that to them, everybody was fine with pitching in towards giving something back to the city for it, so.
yeah.
Well-
As far as playability on the field, you gotta get your own men running around, they move a little bit quicker than the little girls, and they're more likely to get hurt
Right.
on an uneven field, and they don't understand that.
Yeah.
so.
I just think it's a tremendous resource, all the people, you know, even their ability to help get stuff better.
Right.
There's the concessions and stuff that are there on the nights they're there that they can be put out that, hey, support this, go buy a water or pop or something, you know what I mean? And just kind of get everybody, and even that just from resources of all the people in the church leagues of,
Right.
you know, if you need help on the field or
Yes.
something like that.
Good chunk of the men play
So,
in Sioux Falls, and that's roughly $100 a player, so 150 a team is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the church leagues haven't been paying per team.
New.
They pay $100 currently, so it's going from $100 to $250, so it's still $100 to maintain the balls and the umpires if we need umpires.
But that doesn't go anything come to Park and Rec or anything.
Who do they pay it to?
Just themselves. There's a
Themselves.
fund that I have now, it's got like $600 in it, so.
So it pays the guy who sits there and umpires, and it pays for their balls, and then the church league pays it. But this
They're
next,
outside of the city.
it's out,
it
so this next year, we're not gonna have umpires. It's gonna, everybody's gonna call their own on us to do whatever, it's church leaders,
I
we
don't
should be able
want
to.
Yeah.
No, I really don't. We'll, I think this is something, it's good discussion for the park and rec policies and procedures, and if we wanna start using, start charging a facility use fee, or
Yeah.
labor, or whatever it might be, so,
Yeah.
I can do some looking around and see what others are doing.
I really framed this up as a donation more than anything, just to
Yeah.
help the facilities that they're
Yeah.
using.
Yeah. I mean, cause it got, I mean, church league puts wear and tear on the field a lot more than a lot of these little kids do. I mean, it's,
Well, they've used it for years without ever
yeah,
doing anything,
you
you know what I mean? And the thing is, it's not that they wouldn't,
know, right.
it's just that we haven't been able to get everybody on the same page.
There was no structure to do
No
it.
structure to try to help have everybody, you know.
Denise, those, I mean, that's, church ball is outside of Park and Rec, so that money shouldn't have to filter through the city, correct? Just like fall softball and kickball takes money, and that all just goes to the organizer. I don't know. I didn't know that wasn't okay.
I whispered to Denise, I wonder if there's a 501c3 there for that.
Okay,
Um,
so
I don't
we're,
wanna know.
it's not,
Okay.
it's not that it necessarily has to flow through the city or anything, there's just financial controls that
Right.
scare an auditor.
Well, and
so it's like nails on a chalkboard, but we're not doing anything wrong until we're doing something wrong. I get it.
We,
You can do this.
No, we and you, it was you. Yeah.
And Sean's
Sounds like
acting as an outside Park and Rec person that's facilitating
But
that.
it's
He's
also
not
very
doing it
easy,
as a
we
Park
have
and Rec member.
donation
I'll say,
funds.
we have no
You know what I
liability.
mean, we have
for it, I'll put
donation
it that way.
Right.
accounts,
And
So
that's
we
the,
could do
the form
something
they
like that.
sign, it just,
you know,
don't
and actually it should
you have to
maybe
sign a
try to,
form or
because we're gonna
something,
try to
I don't-
incorporate
yeah, the
that softball
facility
field.
use
Right,
agreement.
put it in the
Yeah, I don't
field
know if
that.
we did one.
until the field
And it
fixing
may-
Was
fund or
well, he
something.
hasn't
Yeah,
started
yeah.
yet. That's for next year.
So can
He's
we,
talking
so
about
can
next.
we make a fund, softball field repair fund, and have people then donate to that fund through,
I would say it would go in as a donation, and
Yeah.
I can do a project that
Yeah.
it's for the softball.
yeah,
And then you can see how much is in from that donations, this is how much is for softball,
perfect,
okay?
we love that. Well, that was a great answer.
Just let me know when that happens,
So
okay?
the
So I can set it
auditable
up.
answer.
So, I know this isn't on the agenda, so I don't know if
What?
we can talk about it, but can I subsection the softball? We haven't talked about the field.
That's what we're doing right now.
You mean the grading?
Yeah, like
Yeah, we-
actually scheduling, getting it fixed and repaired before next season.
That could have
Well-
hit the assigned tax.
We've got,
Well, wasn't Mitch gonna go and,
Yeah, I don't know that we've had a final amount on that.
but
okay,
Mitch's
that's kind of what I
deal
wanna
was
know.
20 or 30 or something.
Yeah, it was like 30,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a,
We
Plan
did
B.
12,000.
Plus 600.
yeah.
600 unaccounted for dollars.
So, the reason I bring it up
Angel
is
dollars.
Angel dollars.
we have a turf management program at Southeast Tech,
Yes, you
and
do.
they just, did a turf management project at Baltic, and they helped, I don't know exactly what they all did, or if it would be anything we could benefit from, but I just wanna know
Oh, hey.
kind of specifically what would
could,
be needed, so I can present that to them and ask if it would be something, cause they would do, I assume, for free, because it's their
Yeah.
student.
Was
Yeah.
Baltic
I'd be
Wash
game for
the
that. I
rate?
talked to the
Yeah, it
program
does.
director last spring.
Been doing it Baltic.
Who did you talk to?
The program director for turf management.
Okay, I
Um,
don't know his name, I mean,
Jason
you
or
said
I
it,
can't remember what it was.
um,
But I've got
is
his.
it like Schofield, something?
I don't
I
remember.
don't, it's, anyway,
But we talked, we were looking for any students that might be interested this, somewhere else.
for the job, yeah. And I don't know if it's an option, but I just wanna be prepared with when they say, well, what do you need?
Yeah.
I can say that, what we would need,
What we would need is,
Grants.
grading,
okay?
Which I doubt they do, but.
compaction,
Well, I think they teach, I mean, there, a lot of their, I call them kids, some of them are
yeah,
older.
it's not
but
really landscape
they-
art, Yeah.
a lot of them go on to MLB, like Major League Baseball fields, and they manage their park, so I would assume they know what to do.
I would assume a lot of them do that. I don't think the #1 farm system for Major League Baseball is Southeast Tech, but, you know.
Okay, well, have you seen where some of our students?
Well, the thing is, there's a
The
certain amount of that.
the lead turf management person
I think you've
at
been challenged.
the Red Sox stadium is from Southeast Tech, so.
Oh, the lead Red Sox turf managers from
Yes,
Southeast Tech?
from Southeast Tech. So that's-
Think you'll come back and work on a softball
Yeah,
field?
absolutely. He's
And
gonna
donate,
fix
and
our
just
song.
donate?
It's like,
He's
You
gonna
know
be
what,
Yankees
just
next year.
forget
I
that
love
I
my
asked, I'm not even gonna ask for the help.
No, please do.
After that would be, there'll be some minor outfield seating, because there's a crown on the outfield,
Yes.
right, that needs to come down. So we'll have some of that.
Right on the infield, outfield, there's probably
No
like
irrigation,
30 years of air
is
line
there
built up
irrigation
right there.
No. There's,
A light pole right in the
there's
middle.
drain
of the
tile
field.
that goes somewhere.
And you can see the tiling now
Yeah, we have no idea.
by first base.
Yeah,
The washaway so far, I can see the tube.
yep,
It seemed full.
Our concern is that it goes to that manhole in the outfield.
yep. The bunker. Tornado, we all know where to go when we're playing softball.
can we put on the agenda for, oh, this is just me speaking out, on the agenda for next month? You always ask me and then I just don't pay attention.
Yeah,
Now I'm doing that.
no offense.
You
taking
never
that.
Never.
respond to the text, what?
What we wanna, or what we wanna do to try to spend, you know, this, or what we wanna have
For the
discussions on the
12,000?
12,000. And our fund, and on just different things we wanna
Sure.
work towards, cause I think that would, cause there's ways, the city did the baseball field. And, you know, with resources of this community, I think we could do something very similar. And if those guys from Southeast Tech could maybe do some design stuff.
Just come and rate, because that's probably all they do.
Well, I mean, they could do that. I gotta imagine,
Show up with a rake.
setting the
I would
bases
like
and,
to,
If they learn how to rake and it's a 2-year program that they pay $15,000 for,
hey, teaching these
that's a
kids
waste
how to
of
rake
money.
might take 2 years sometime. I can't teach them how to do anything.
is that a Red Sox joke?
No. Red Sox, cause you see Yankees.
All right, let's move on to playground equipment discussion.
We got I think Denise got the email originally. Yeah, from that company, about having matching funds available.
Yeah.
Again, this is a discussion that's going to what we do with that money, because, obviously we would have to supply funding for a matching grant. There's a lot of good, discussion, I think, that came out of it, but really what we need to is just, do we go forward with this or not? I think we're looking at some major dollars if we do. I think, we're looking, I would say at least 90,000.
90?
For the total cost of this equipment.
But we would have to match that.
We would have to match, their donation, so, yeah.
Where's $90,000 of equipment going?
Well, we'd have to figure out where we want it, if we want it at all.
If there's a minimum, you have to do like 90,000 or something?
The minimum was like 60 and the match is reduced.
So, but if you look at the equipment that's available for that, for the 100% match, it was a minimum of, it doesn't say a minimum of 90,000 until you go to shop for the equipment. And then the cheapest piece of equipment to be eligible for $100,000 or for 100% is at least $90,000. So we would be purchasing $180,000 worth of equipment, but we would be paying $90,000. So that was my question is, we wanna be sure, first of all, can we get $90,000? And if we can't get $90,000, then we need to take our $10,000 or $8,000 or whatever we wanna do, and then the match will be between 40 and 70%. So it won't be ADA compliant, it'll be a smaller unit, but we will get between 40 and 70%, which would be perfect for West Evergreen. Sorry to point at you, but it's your Ladybug Park, so that's what so that to me would be the most feasible option, unless the city has $90,000, it would be great to upgrade the equipment at Westerman Park.
Have $90,000, yes.
Because if we can get ADA compliant,
You
you have $90,000.
We certainly have $90,000.
Don't say that. if it's
Not
not.
available.
We did get paid.
Not
on
available,
Friday.
$90,000.
Yes, so we do have 90.
Not the playground.
Where are you going with this?
Whether that's the best use for that $90,000 is
Right,
certainly
yeah.
debatable. So, try and pull up the, name of the company.
So how much?
Tan.
How much does the city have to, that the city would be able to
Budgeted?
do a match? Yeah, that
Zero.
12,000.
None.
We
Well,
said
we
it's
have
budgeted.
1,000 discretionary,
So
right?
they have none, so the 100% is not an option, so we can say that with a matter of fact right now, right?
Right.
I mean, really,
Unless it's something.
unless they have,
Right.
I just don't wanna wait to apply for that grant, you know what I'm saying?
I think I mean, obviously, we need more playground equipment, whether it's at West Evergreen or at Westerman. I think with the pool project ongoing and unknown cost until we close out the project, and an upcoming, possible softball field project with, if we don't go with the estimated price of 25 or 30,000, we don't know what exactly it's going to cost. So I think with those up in the air, I think that's a lot for a year. And maybe this is just something that we can wait on.
We'll
Usually
wait
what
on the large equipment, but we can still apply and use a portion of our 12,000, I think. I don't wanna speak for everybody, but I think we would be okay with doing a portion of our 12,000 to match that. We would at least get 40% if we were approved.
Well, I think that piece of equipment that's down by the field now, by the new concession stand, wasn't that like $30,000?
I don't know, I wasn't around.
It was money that was budgeted years by the city, they had put some money away and it kinda had to be used for that. So then it was at least 20,000, if not 30.
I think the cheapest, I mean.
So that, I don't know what our 12 is gonna get you, that's what I'm saying. Plus, we
Well,
gotta
Well,
use
but
12 on
If
the
you
other
wanna
stuff.
use some for the softball field, that's the major
Right.
issue, is if,
Right.
Right, yeah.
I can easily see $10,000 going into that softball field.
Can you pull up the website and we can see if there's any, or we could do that at a different time too,
By
to
a
see
bench.
what the. Well, the equipment that we have between the middle field, that was
In memory of Jason.
approximately
Yeah.
13, it was like
Yeah,
13.5.
wasn't that 13.5?
It was like 13.5 between the middle fields, we had a grant for that. And so,
It was more than 13.5 time they put that in there, the installation was like 4 or 5, 3.
the city did all that.
So the city did it?
City didn't put the instant in, we paid for it.
No, I think
No,
the middle
because
one they did.
remember we were
Yeah.
concerned about it,
Right. Amanda had it figured out. I thought it
we
was
were
under
concerned about
15.
it not being expert playground installers installing the equipment. Don't you remember that?
The city didn't do it,
I think we're gonna agree to disagree.
we're gonna agree to disagree.
Okay. Can we look
This
back
one
and
I'll,
see how
this
much
one
it
I'll
was?
fight, I'm not whether or not you got Major League Baseball players in Southeast Tech. That one you're on your own.
They're not the
That one you might be
players.
right, this one I know I'm right.
They just break the field or whatever, I don't know what they do.
This one I know,
It would have been, what, 2 years, 3 years ago? 2 years ago, Amanda had
Yeah,
found
apply
it,
for a grant.
found a grant, yeah.
Well, is this typically, I mean, has it been annually they offer this
I
grant?
think so, yeah, I think there's probably, most of these companies, there's dozens of them.
The
Yeah.
only
They
thing we
offer
could
some
do
sort
is
of grant
focus
every
on the
year.
softball field
Yeah.
for now, and if we do have a portion left over, we can we roll it over to next year?
You don't really roll it over, I mean, whatever's in your fund stays in your fund.
So
But
it's just
the 12,000 that we have,
doesn't go to our fund.
right, that's in the general fund,
Yeah.
not in the 201.
But the other thing too is I think we have to, I mean, we know the softball field's the #1 priority, but I don't think we've set any other priorities after, or that, you know what I mean, after the softball field.
Correct,
I think we probably need to go and figure out
Yeah.
yes.
what are the priorities of the park system and everything and all of it
Yeah,
before we,
Well, I mean, the #2 priority is we're getting matching backboards. Because that was on our walkthrough every
Yeah.
time.
Every time.
And that's happening.
Yeah.
There's no rail on the hoop, and there's no,
oh.
the temp, yeah, the backboards and the.
How much is a backboard?
Not very expensive.
No.
So the new stuff in Worthing costs $16,000 for a pretty big jungle gym, and the zip line costs $14,000. And it's like a 100-foot zip line.
In Worthing,
Yeah, at the school. The
it's really a zip line too.
just
Off
back
the
and
gym.
forth.
Oh,
Bang, bang.
oh, it's got a
Yeah.
tower and a tower or
And
whatever. Yeah, off the
Hang
gym.
on.
So that was, you said it was, what did you say,
It was
16,000?
30,000 total, 16 and 14.
Yeah.
So I bet that thing was around.
I think it was around 15,
Yeah.
when Amanda proposed it.
The cataloging was slowing up for some reason,
What's that?
price
It's
of-
alright, we can. another
I
time.
can't remember where I found that. But yeah, I think we've got plenty to focus on for next year.
Yeah,
This would be, adding to that. But again, like Jason said, I think setting long-term priorities and
It's important.
strategy is
Yeah.
probably what we need to do before we go
it's just
after.
hard to give up that match if
It
it
is.
really, if it would have been 100%, it's just, that's
Yeah.
too much to spend 90,000.
Well, it's also kind of nice, if, let's say we only have $12,000 to knock off, instead of one, you know, you might be able to knock off 10 or 12
Mhm.
items off of things
Right.
to get done versus one thing, like playground equipment. That's almost something you gotta raise money for or something or do. Or set aside, like the city did before. I think they might set up, you know, like 5,000 a year, because they just knew it was coming.
Well, that's what I'm wondering if we can do, but we can't really do that with our group, right? That's not something we can do.
Well,
We don't do it.
we could set aside,
What they
we
said,
could budget dollars, every year in Fund 201 for replacement reserve, you know, and I would probably put it under contingency. That if it doesn't get used, then it just gets, you know, stays with that fund.
So I don't-
The issue is that every year, if you are budgeting a shortfall or a net loss or otherwise, well, where's the first place you turn to?
It's
You
contingency.
turn to your fund
Right.
balance and make up the difference. So that's always the risk that you run with putting money aside for several years to build up. You know, I get the attractiveness of that, but it assumes that every board member or every council for the next X many years is going to have that same priority.
Just thinking ahead with the equipment at Westerman Park. I mean, I don't know much about playground equipment, but when was that installed and how much life is left there? And that's gotta be a pretty expensive unit, so, you know, is the city
Yeah.
gonna be in a position on 1 year to replace $100,000 worth of equipment regardless of a match?
Could we do it if we had to? Yeah. Yeah, we could. And again, we have reserves for these kinds of purposes, so that when large ticket items come up for replacement, we have funds available to do that. You know, as an example, we had to buy a new truck this summer, we lost 2 trucks. Replaced it with a brand new one. We had built up funds in the water fund over time that would allow an easy purchase of that. So,
That was the plow truck, right?
was that?
Was that the plow truck?
No,
No.
no.
That
This
just-
is the ugly one, the ugly Silverado that Jeremy drives.
If you get a chance, ask him about his rims.
His rims?
Yes.
So it's the base?
Yeah, it's the ugliest truck you've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Ask him about his Datsun. So yeah, we have those funds available, that's why you build up reserves. We don't have what I would call necessarily sufficient reserves in 201 for that. But general fund certainly has reserves for those kinds of things.
well, the 201 was never really designed for that.
For equipment.
It was there to keep
Operations.
all the money that the players' parents
Yep.
and all that stuff raised into something that we can make sure it goes back into
Yes.
the program.
Yeah.
It wasn't there to,
For equipment first.
yeah, we
Make
didn't
sure-
want that, we didn't want that rolling back into the general fund,
Right, right.
you know, when they paid it or whatever, so.
And part of the benefit of having a small fund balance is that it's not that attractive to use for rolling into the general fund.
Yeah,
You know,
right,
quite frankly, that's,
right.
it's a benefit for that fund, that it's only, you know, right now at 2,300 or 23,000 some dollars.
Right.
That's not a useful amount to a $1.6 million budget.
Right.
You know.
All right, let's move to financial assistance scholarship discussion.
Do we need to make a motion on this that we are going to not,
No, you're just not taking action on it.
Yeah.
Table.
table?
So financial assistance scholarship discussion.
Somebody,
What's that?
So Denise.
Why are you
has
looking
got
at
this.
me? You're in charge of that.
I don't know.
Actually,
You're
I
probably
got an
saying something.
email.
Yeah,
And it looks like Amanda, Adlin had signed up with this Connecting Kids Partnership contract. Do you know, have we given out scholarships to anyone?
No, I don't believe so. And I do recall her signing up for this, but I think the discussion got tabled at that time. What happens with the reimbursement? Do we put something on our website that says if you're having trouble paying registration fees, contact the city? They don't pay anything, they register, and then we file for reimbursement for that child, and if it doesn't get approved, we eat that cost?
Don't they, have to apply for the scholarship?
Well, that's what I wanna know, is this in our hands or is it in the parents'?
No, I believe it's in our hands.
I believe so.
We would be the one, so the parent, so you have a parent that says, I'm sorry, I want my child to play softball, but I can't afford it. Then come down, fill out this application, and then we would submit that application. And we would either get a yes or a no as to whether they're gonna reimburse us. If it's a yes, we go ahead and sign them up, and the fee is paid.
Sure.
If it's no, then, you know, maybe, I don't know if they do a partial match or anything like that. I really don't know much about it, to be quite
Well,
honest.
How are those kids that can't afford it now?
We're just covering.
yeah, we're just,
Okay.
yeah.
So it was
So this
more,
would be beneficial.
it was more of a thing back when we had checks and cash versus the website, we have less of it, you know, but, you know, I think at one time there was a parent or two that was asked, you know, they didn't, although his kid did show up and came with a brand new bat, but whatever, regardless of the deal, you know, we've just covered it. We're just like, listen, we'll take it. We've had coaches, that have bought kids gloves.
Yeah.
We've had coaches that, you know, I mean, if there's anything like, we don't have a lot of it, otherwise we'd have to be more of a problematic thing, but if there's anybody, we just take care of it.
Do we
But with the
make it
registration-
known that this is available?
So that's my concern, is like,
No.
we don't do a good job of that, and I think maybe we were
Well-
worried in the past about opening up a can of worms, however.
well, and
Right.
registration online anymore, like, they'd have to pay for it.
They'd have to
Like,
pay.
they'd
right
have to
away.
pay
Well,
for it.
so I would think
Like,
that they
there's not-
couldn't do it online. I mean, so if they have to pay
Right,
for
so
it
we
online.
would, I just think we need to have something on our website that says if you are in a position where you cannot
Contact.
afford this financially,
Contact, yeah.
please contact
Contact
city
me.
office, because we don't have that now, so as a parent, if I wasn't able to afford that, I don't know that I would reach out, I just
Right.
wouldn't
You
register
just
my
wouldn't
child.
register.
Right,
They're just
because I'd be
not-
embarrassed, so
Yeah.
I think there has to be something like that.
We can
Then you
include
have to-
language on confidentiality and everything.
Right,
That's not a
right,
problem.
right.
So
I guess
think-
they're just not playing,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we would hear, you know what I mean, if it was
Yeah.
a problem, I think we
Yeah.
would hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice, but then at that point, if you're gonna put it out there, now you need some checks and balances to make sure that
Right.
it's, which is something like this, to make sure that it's real.
But then if we don't get it, if they don't get approved, then at that point we can say that we'll cover it, if that's something we want.
If they don't get approved, it's
They-
because they
one of
make too
their-
much money.
One of their.
I don't know, what do they look at?
Income.
I'm sure it's your income and
Sure
your
they-
expenses, and I'm sure you gotta
How much
produce
money they have.
that information to get.
I don't want a kid to not be able to play because their parents don't know how to manage.
It's
Yeah,
probably
but we
similar
can't just
to
say,
what-
okay, hey, if you decide you can't pay, you don't have to
Right.
pay. So they can go up and play video lottery, you know what I mean?
We can look at what other towns are doing.
But there's no way we can,
Yeah, cause they had
we
lots of
can't tell
towns.
that, I don't know.
We,
I mean-
there was lots of towns that were listed under this program when I went out to the, like, just to the
Yeah.
website or whatever about this. So I mean, if we could see, when did we had to have this signed up though by
It looks like
November 1st,
December is
right?
when they did it last year, so.
Oh, okay, so,
It
It
expires
expires
12/31.
Yeah.
but I mean, the sign up, why did I think the sign up was November first?
Well, I was gonna say, I'm not sure, but,
Well, there's nothing that says we can't approve signing up today and figure it out later.
Right, yeah,
I don't know why we wouldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Does
if it's
anybody
getting
know
money
a
back.
down?
right,
A
just,
paying for it
just,
anyway.
just in case, I mean, we're not paying for it, it's just.
No, I mean, but we
through
pay for the
United
kids,
Way.
right now, we've been paying
Right.
for the kids, if we
Right.
get money back.
But there are plenty of girls that go play in Chancellor because
It's
they don't
cheaper.
charge them anything.
Yeah.
Jamie funds it all.
Yeah.
So I motion that we re-sign up for this Connecting Kids Partnership contract.
And on that note too, when we're paying for people now, we don't know where their money's going. I'm just throwing it out.
We don't pay for anybody. This was a couple years ago.
You just said we have.
No, I'm saying if it comes up, we do, but it was
Sorry,
like,
I
it was like
seconded.
3 years
Brittany
ago.
seconded it.
We
Okay.
did, and then maybe 2 years ago, I think there was a softball, grandma that had the kids for the summer or
Right.
something. I mean, it's really been two
Yeah.
instances
very
in
intermittent.
7 or 8 years.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I think just the mentality of our board is if we ran into it, we know
Right.
that we're gonna make sure that, regardless of it.
All right, I've got a motion to continue the Connecting Kids program contract, and I got it seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Continuing or
Yes,
initiating?
continuing. Opposed? There we go. We can continue.
So Denise, do you need us to do this, or you'll fill this out?
I will see what, I mean, I can do like what they need for, the budget and the different things, financial stuff. I may reach out to you guys just to ask about some of the other stuff that we might need as far as
Okay.
activities and costs,
Yeah,
things
that's
like
fine.
that.
I think you
So-
can email us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works.
All right, let's move to policy and procedures.
This is just making the proposed policies and procedures available for review. I'd like to have this up for approval next month, so if there are issues that you see in here, or items that you don't see that you think should be included, just shoot me an email and we'll see if we can make it added.
When was this last updated?
So
This is the first time we've had it.
So this
But I
is,
mean, when was it initiated? Do you know? I mean, it's
It's
been,
not
it's
3
been
weeks ago.
years. Oh, okay, so you
Yeah.
created, that's what I wanna know. You created this just
Yeah.
this year, okay.
so this is us, this is the board, this is what they're supposed to do, this is their, how they're supposed to act, is that what this is all about?
No, not necessarily, that's gonna be under boards and commissions.
Okay.
That's already been approved. This is more, here's how our programs work, here's how our equipment works, here's how,
So like baseball program, softball program, that? or-
it doesn't parse it out like that, no.
All programs will operate at.
Yeah. There's some of it for, staff, there's some for volunteers, safety, coaches. We do talk about fee assistance in there. I just threw out what I think is standard. But again, this is a draft, so if there's changes that need to be made, or additions to be made, and it's meant to be something that's, a living, breathing document, so. If we, 8 months down the road, realize, we should probably have a policy on this, well, then we add a policy to this.
I
So
like
this
how
is-
you have, as demonstrated by participation in the free and reduced price lunch program at a local school. Can we get that information from the school, or is that
If the parent
confidential?
releases it, they can,
Okay.
if the parent authorizes it to release, then I think they can release it.
Yeah, so they qualify for that, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
That's an easy,
Yeah.
it's an easy verification
Yes.
of income without them have to actually tell
Tell you
us
something.
what their income is.
Is that what they do in Sioux Falls for the school passes too?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the other thing with this Connecting Kids. Do they not qualify because Connecting Kids ran out of money, or is it because they have too much income, make too much income? You know what I mean? It could be that that program ran out of money, and so then we need to look at funding that for
Other
them.
sources.
Right.
For the facility, use, I was just looking at these here. What are,
I'm never
what
gonna
about
let
the
it go,
pic, what
Jason.
about the picnic shelters? Right, when,
Yeah, I worry about that one, because there's a
Okay.
lot of spontaneous use of the picnic shelter.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
95% of it fantastic, 5% of it questionable. But I think it's something that's up for discussion. I mean, if people should have to rent or at least book it for birthday parties.
I mean,
I think that's,
I booked it for birthday parties,
Yeah.
and they'll put your like name
Yep.
and stuff out there just so that you make sure that like you have it.
right,
Do you see misuse of it?
yeah. But it's not, I mean, it's nothing like significant. It's like, there's 20 kids.
Like
I mean,
they
it's
left
just
streamers up or?
Like birthday shelter.
I was just curious, that was the only facilities that I saw that I was like, oh, don't we have, I guess I just thought you had to. So I-
Yeah,
So did I always.
I would, it would be, I think you have to
Like you
do
did.
that.
And I mean, just letting, you know, if that ran in the paper or something, or letting people know and, you know, that that's what they need to do.
Or in the policy, so-and-so.
Well, we can put that, if somebody's got a book, we can put that on the calendar too, as a facility that's scheduled for use at a certain time.
Or we could put up a sign there
Yep.
saying if you want to use this
Oh,
facility,
yeah.
you need to call the city and book it.
Yep.
You know, that's,
Yeah, put one in each shelter.
right,
Call this number.
right.
I've seen it both ways. There are some that it's only by reservation, or some that's first come, first served. So
I
it's for
have a
kids'
question
birthday
for you,
parties,
Nate,
Right.
that is a little off topic, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Not really.
but connect it to this.
I would like an aerial picture of Lennox
Okay,
to be able to identify where all the parks are and put a number where the fields are.
Well, so we don't have to say T-ball field, we can say
Well,
field
not
five.
necessarily
For
that,
out-of-town
but
people,
for out-of-town people, I wanna be able to go to the
I don't know if there's
website
an address to West.
and know
Sure,
where
sure,
the
sure.
T-ball field is and be able to
not true, so.
tell grandma from T that's coming to the T-ball game how to get there. And I did have that question quite a bit this summer, and so I just explained to them over the phone how to get there, but I did notice a lot of the other websites have that listed, park
Yes,
field map or something.
sort of
it's
like
called,
a
so-
campus map kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's adds to your drone. There's been a lot of things we need a drone for, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
Oh,
drone.
jeez.
I was gonna say.
Well, if I can have KDLT's drone,
We only
Yeah.
that was cool.
We only got 12,000.
Yeah, and that's not gonna get KDLT's your own.
We can take, I mean, honestly, I think Mitch could even do this with their.
I just would like to do
imagery.
something for the new website. I don't know what
I
it
think
would
you
look
probably
like,
just
but.
do it in Google Maps, can't you?
Probably.
But then I'm gonna be drawing it and that's not, I don't know, image, just make something really nice. Or we
It's
can
gonna
just
make
draw on
something very
Google
nice
Maps.
for
that's-
$1,000.
I have an intern do it.
Okay.
Just not to say, we're gonna just
So when do
be
you
such
need,
a
when do you
downer.
need comments, when do you need comments back on these policies and procedures?
I think, 2 to 3 weeks would be fine.
You just need it by email?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and you don't have to have, 5 paragraphs of language you want inserted. If there's something that you want discussed, throw it out there, I'll see what I can do in terms of researching it and see what other towns are doing.
Okay.
And then maybe next meeting you'll have, then we have surveys go out.
Yes. Yep, I think we have soccer done now,
No, soccer's next.
one more week,
Still.
yeah. We've got pretty good response rates.
But I mean, we did those next month meeting or
Yeah,
something.
that was the plan.
Yeah.
I wanna ask about.
I can show you kind of what we got
Oh,
coming
you're
already.
talking about this?
Yeah, so like,
I don't know, that page.
Should I
Jason
make a
will yell
motion
at me
to
if I
adjourn?
say it out loud.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Oh, I have one more thing.
All right, we have a motion and,
Hey,
oh,
hey, hey.
oh,
And then
I think we should get this.
parent,
There is a motion on the
the
table.
parent surveys for baseball and
Yes.
softball.
Next month they're
Next month.
gonna, they're
Yeah,
gonna
oh, just
provide
said
it.
that.
And
Okay,
let's put
I
that on
read
the
that, sorry.
agenda too, along with the, the meetings and all that.
and making sure
So we
like
can talk
softball's
about
on it.
I got you. Man, I
Yeah.
can't concentrate.
the agenda, we can put those surveys on the agenda
Okay, for next time.
next
Yep.
time.
Okay. So they'll go out, though?
They
He's
went.
already got them out, he's
I-
got some of them in.
So I did an email blast, sent them all out, but Nate's the only one that has like access to get to them.
I don't think I got it either.
It was a while ago,
Yeah, it was, I got one.
yeah.
But
I went to
You
like
should've-
600 and some email
Okay.
addresses.
Maybe it went to my junk or
If
something.
that website, that's another thing with that website, I can't fix that, but yes, it goes to the junk
Oh,
email.
I bet that's
But that was
what it
one thing I talked
Okay.
to Sports Engine about.
How many did we send out?
It was over, well, 600 emails, but, you know, like, I have 2 or 3
Sure.
emails, you know, associated with,
Good job.
well, no, I'm just
Did it go
saying,
to all?
over time, that,
that seems
Did
like
it
a
go
lot
to
of
all?
work.
Did it go to all programs?
Seems
It
like a lot of
should
work,
have, yeah.
Katie.
So did it go actually to soccer? Or
Oh,
did it
wrong
go to
email.
soccer itself?
I didn't because he had soccer.
She's got 8 browsers open,
Oh,
different 8 browsers, so she can be logged into everyone.
Just because, like, they first.
Oh, this one's in
if they
Chrome.
Technically,
Firefox.
since they included it on the survey, I included them in the email, so
Oh,
and a lot of them are doubled up anyway.
When did it go out, roughly?
That'd be almost a month.
3 or 4
Oh,
weeks
yeah.
ago, I would say.
Okay.
Alright, so there's a motion on table to adjourn. Anybody
Second.
opposed?
Who put the
No,
policy
that's,
to adjourn?
no,
I
Sean
second.
opposed, Sean motion, or Sean made the motion.
Okay.
Anyone's
Kelsey seconded.
Yep,
You know,
so,
reader sweatshirt, I've been laughing at that thing all night.
What does it say?
See you later, Kate.
Alligator.
see you later, Alligator.
alright, all opposed? Or all approved, whatever,
Aye.
all in favor? Opposed? Alright, we're adjourned.
Now I can.
Now you can just talk freely, Brittany.
Since we're-
Brittany, talk freely.
I would like this defined, so
I don't know, it wasn't one time.
what about if they're not?
Just a topic, but.
Yeah, there's your picture.
Yeah, there's a picture, Brittany. Brittany, take a picture of it.
Right, but
Brittany,
that's like saying.
you got an iPhone, right?